Hello, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Guys, I am really excited because we're gonna do another video for the MBTI. And I love doing these MBTI videos. I'm a huge fan of the Myers-Briggs. I love Carl Jung. I think that guy was a fucking genius. And I just love doing research on this MBTI because I have personally found it to be very accurate, actually, in a very good way of describing the personalities and temperaments of people. And I have actually discovered by myself that, like I can actually meet people and talk to them, and just by short interaction, I can actually tell what personality somebody has just by looking at them and talking to them. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, guys, I like to do research on the available data as far as MBTI is concerned, but I also like to add my own insights. I like to add my own research. So, guys, what I'm showing you here today is something you have never come across. This is a theory of mine that I've been working on for a while. You will not see this, guys, anywhere. This is the only place where you're gonna see it. It's something that I've completely come up with on my own, based, of course, on the core MBTI research. But this is something that I've added myself. So what I want to present to you here, as you can see in the image, okay, at a glance, maybe a little bit confusing. Maybe you don't know what it means, but I'm going to explain it to you. So what you see here is basically what I like to call the Schizoid/Verve continuum. Okay, I'm calling it the Schizoid/Verve. That's Verve, Verve continuum. What does it mean? Okay, that means when you take the classical MBTI box, the one that you can see here on the image of the 16 personalities, and you go from one corner, which is the INTJ, which is a schizoid, right? Because INTJ is schizoid, by the way. And you go from that corner to the other corner, which is ESFP. Obviously, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but INTJ and ESFP are polar opposites. They're completely opposite. The INTJ is a solitary creature, very cold, very unemotional, very uninvolved in life, very distant. And the ESFP, the entertainer, is the exact opposite. They're very lively, life of the party, wants to party, wants to have fun, likes to live, let's say, within the heat of the moment, within the fire and spice of life, so to speak. They want to enjoy the fullest of life. So what this continuum is, it helps us to divide all of the MBTI personalities into, which ones have more of the schizoid tendencies. Obviously, with the INTJ being the most schizoid of all the personalities, and which is the most vervy, sort of lively personality that there is, and that's the ESFP, obviously 100%. So you can divide all of them into these categorization. Another thing I want to talk about this Schizoid-Verve spectrum or continuum is that it's also a continuum of strength and weakness. Now, it is known in psychology, actually, that the schizoid personality structure is actually a very weak. It is a definition of weakness. It's a very weak personality. It's a very weak personality structure. It's a structure that is basically based on avoiding life, avoiding challenges, not wanting to get into the thick of it. It's a very weak sort of personality, and a lot of times you'll see that schizoids, a lot of their withdrawal from society is because they want to play it safe. They're trying to avoid putting themselves in situations that might be difficult for them. So this continuum, the Schizoid-Verve continuum, is actually technically also it's a continuum of weakness towards strength, right? Because the more lifeless you are, the more schizoid and lifeless you are, the more weak you are, and the more full of life that you are, the stronger that you are. Because strength is a life force, right? To be strong means to be lively. It means to have a life force, right? Anyway, so we got that out of the way. Now I'm going to explain to you the subdivision classification of all the different personalities based on this continuum. So we start with INTJ at the top corner, at the top left corner. That's INTJ, very schizoid. So they got 0% life. They got 0% of that lively life force, energy, verve, whatever you want to call it. Then we go to the second group, and that's the INTP and the INFJ. INTP and INFJ are both 12.5%. They got 12.5% strength, i.e., life. All right. Then we have another category, which is the ISTJ, INFP, and ENTJ, and that's 25% life or 25% strength. Then we have the 50%, which is the ISTP, ISFJ, ENFJ, and ENTP. And then we have the 75%, that's ISFP, ESTJ, and ENFP. Then we have the 87.5%, which is the ESTP and ESFJ. And then we have the 100%, which is the ESFP. Now, according to this theory of mine, technically speaking, you could say that the ESFP is the strongest personality type. It is what it is. And I think you will agree. I think a lot of ESFPs are very strong people. They're very lively, they're very strong, and they can face life and all the challenges. And I mean, what kind of strength I'm talking about is more of the life strength, the ability to face life and live within life with the good things and with the bad things. Even with suffering and problems, they're still able to find joy in life. They're still able to live life to the fullest and enjoy it and not be, they don't let basically, people who are like this, like a ESFP, don't let bad things rule over them. They don't let bad things prevent them from enjoying life. That's essentially what it is. Now, yeah, so this is the classification. And you will notice something. It has a lot to do with the letters as well. For example, if you look at, let's see, like the INTP, why the INTP is pretty schizoid, not full on, but pretty schizoid, is because they share most of the letters of the INTJ, except for the P. They have perception instead of judgment. You could look at INFP, for example, INFP being 25%. They still have like 75% schizoid in them. And that's because they share both of the first letters. They have the introverted and the intuitive, the intuition, so IN. Although they have the FP, which is a feature of the ESFP, right? Because they have the FP in common with the ESFP. But still, the intuition, the IN is a very schizoid feature. So yeah, this just gives you kind of an idea about how to classify the level of strength of these different types, and I'll try to give you some examples. So, for example, you can see some of the MBTI personalities that have been known sort of classically or conventionally to form very strong individuals. Usually individuals that can be very influential, that have a lot of influence in society, in the politics. We usually see an overrepresentation of things like the, ESTJ and the ESTP and the ESFP as well. Think about ESTJ. Now that's 75% strength, 75% life force. ESTJ is overrepresented with, like, you think about all the tyrants, all the dictators in history, Saddam Hussein, Stalin. A lot of politicians tend to be ESTJ. A lot of strong people who are dominant and have a lot of power and strength tend to be ESTJ. But even ESTP, which is technically stronger, You see that as well. Like a lot of influential people, a lot of rich people, a lot of people who are very popular and famous tend to be ESTP. A good example would be Donald Trump. Donald Trump is ESTP. But I think a lot of the people who, I think Billie Eilish, I think she's an ESTP. But yeah, you see this quite commonly in the sort of like what do you call pop music, pop rock. These like very very influential people that do pop will usually have more strength. They will usually have more life force. They will typically be either ESFP or ESTP. Think about people like I mean, guys, it doesn't have to be limited to like political power. I think political power is more likely to attract ESTJs, but it can be influential in any sort of way, even in music or the other industries, like maybe like actors, movies and that kind of stuff. Um, you know, so a lot of these pop music, you know, um, the paragons of the pop music industry tend to be ESTP, ESFP. Think of people like Lady Gaga. Think about what's her name, Katy Perry. Think about the other one, Miley Cyrus. So and Nicki Minaj and all these types of people, they tend to be ESFP and ESTP. A lot of them tend to be. Yeah, so that's just a division, how to divide all of these the personalities into the schizoid/verve continuum. And something I wanted to mention to you guys, maybe you don't know this because I'm somebody that studied a lot of psychology. I know a lot about psychology and psychiatry. And you may not know this about this schizoid personality, but apparently, according to the research of the psychologists, that every baby that is born is actually born as a blank slate. They're born as a schizoid. It's just like an empty core. Nothing wrong with this. Every baby is born this way. Technically, every baby is born schizoid. It's just that they then start interacting with their mother and they start to get a lot of energy and life force and emotional power from the mother, and they develop into a full-fledged human being. And basically, if you're an adult and you're an INTJ, basically that means that you can pretty much say that you have remained in infancy. You have remained as a baby. And you will notice, of course, that a lot of schizoid people tend to behave like children, like infants. They do have the mentality of an infant. They cannot handle stress. They don't like to partake in life. They don't like to do anything risky, no risk taking, no ability to take on challenges, can't face life, wants to live it safe, cold, detached, solitary. I mean, it's like the epitome of weakness, basically. It's just, they're basically just only worried about basic survival and protection and safety and that kind of stuff, which is not definitely not strength. Yeah, want to mention something about countries as well. I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of countries in this world can actually be classified according to the MBTI. I mean, of course, there will be a variation of personalities within that country, but there will also be like a dominant personality. So, for example, Russia would be described as an INTJ nation because there's a lot of INTJ. Most of the people there are INTJs. Like there's a lot of INTJ personalities in Russia. If you look at a country like America, the USA, is an ESTJ nation. Countries like Spain is an ESFP nation. Look at Italy, for example. Italy is ENFP. Ireland apparently is ESTP. France would be ISFP. So it's kind of like you can divide all the countries in the world into what the dominant personality is, and that definitely has been done. You can look it up, by the way, if you want to in your spare time. ISTJ, that will be England. England is an ISTJ nation. Sweden, apparently, Sweden is a ISTP, and Germany would be ENTJ. The UAE actually is also ENTJ. Apparently, Greece is ENTP, and they say that the Netherlands is INFP. So, guys, take this with a grain of salt. I mean, it is technically quite difficult to divide countries into classify them into personalities, but I'm sure that you get the gist of what I'm saying. Like, what is the dominant personality that is overrepresented in that country? That's what we're talking about, right? It doesn't have to be, of course, that everyone would have that personality. There might be many, many different personalities in that same country, right? Just because America is an ESTJ nation doesn't mean there's no Americans that are ESFP or ESTP or even INTJ or INTP, right? So, yeah. But of course, you will notice that in America, it's relatively difficult to find people who are INTJ or INTP. And you also see this. I don't know if you've dealt with Americans or lived in America or visited America, but in my dealings with Americans and, just getting to know Americans and being in America and all that kind of stuff, America does not have a lot of the intellectual types of personalities, like the INTP and INTJs. And it's so funny because even when you watch movies and in the media, like American movies, they always make fun of the nerds and the geeks. Like it's always, the INTPs and the INTJs are heavily mocked and sort of ostracized and made fun of and ridiculed because they don't like these intellectual types of people. They want people who are more. The American spirit is more about like being dominant and sort of. I don't know how to say this, but being a hick, maybe you can say that way. Maybe like a bit of a cowboy sort of mentality, like you can't mess with me. It's more like yeah, America, and guns and shit. Not that fucking like nerdy INTP INTJ sort of. I'm just gonna stay at home, read books, being intellectual, type of thing. So I'm sure you guys get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I don't know if I explained everything here, but yeah. So what we talked about is basically that there's a continuum from the schizoid all the way to the Verve sort of lively ESFP, and you can classify all the personalities according to percentages of how much, let's say, schizoid they have, or how much life force or strength they have, and it's just very different. I think I like to have mental images when I think about these things, and I'll give you this image. Like, the more schizoid you are, the more you want to be in the cold, so to speak. You want to be out there, like you want to be on the outside in the cold, And the more ESFP tendencies you have, the more likely that you want to be in the fire. You want to be in the heat of the moment. You want to be in the fire. So think of it as images. When I think of ESFP, I think of fire. When I think of INTJ, I think of the cold. So the ESFP wants to be in the heat. They want to be, partying, dancing, having sex. All these activities, what they do is they actually generate body heat. It's like hot. Think of hot heat, fire. Maybe even criminal stuff, like maybe stealing or beating people up, getting into fights, that kind of stuff. All of it is heat. Even when somebody's done something criminal and they're trying to get away from the area, they'll say like, I'm trying to trying to lay low because of the heat, right? I'm trying to lower the heat. So yeah. And the INTJ, the schizoid, would be more cold. Everything's cold. There is no life force. There is no fire going on. It's all cold. It's all nobody messing with you. There's nothing going on. There's no fucking whatever. I hope this is explaining it to you. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. But yeah, you can divide all of these, and it gives you also an idea of how strong the personality is. So, for example, 9 times out of 10, you will find that um, your average ESTP, would you know beat the living deet, out of your typical, let's say, INFJ. Like, I can totally see this in my head. Like, you get any typical 9 times out of 10, any typical INFJ, get them into a fight with an ESTP, they're gonna get pummeled to death. Just because of the that energy and strength and life force that the ESTP has. And funny thing, talking about ESTP, I actually went to Ireland once. I went to Dublin, and of course, I'm an ESTJ. Like, when I went to America as an ESTJ, I felt like I was at home, guys. Like, I felt good. You know what I mean? When I was in America, I felt like I was at home. I felt really, really good in America. And yeah, and then so yeah, one day, I went to Dublin in Ireland, and you know you can sense that ESTP energy. Like, the Irish temperament just seemed to me quite violent. Like, these people just seemed quite uh, brave, very brave, but also violent. And typically you'll notice this with ESTPs. They're very aggressive, not aggressive, they're violent. They're very violent and brave also. They are not easily threatened. They're not afraid. And I actually noticed when I was walking down the streets in Dublin that there was a lot of muggers walking around the streets. And I'm you're gonna ask me, like, how did you know there were muggers? I'm like, dude, I know. I know what a mugger looks like. When I see a mugger, I know they're a mugger. You know what I mean? That smile, that sick, clownish almost. You know, that sick smile on their face, that wide fucking smirk on their face. You can tell that person has a knife, and that they're going around looking for targets to mug. I don't know how to describe it. It's that smile. What is it? That clown from Batman. What is it called? The clown from Batman. I totally forgot the name, man. I just can't. The guy that was acted by that Heath Ledger. Maybe you guys write in the comment what the name is. I just totally blanked out on that one. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Yeah, that's how you're dealing with a mugger. Is they have that, like, wide smirk on their face. But anyway, he's generally walking around in Dublin. I mean, nothing. I got nothing against the Irish people. I actually like Irish people, but yeah, you get this feeling that it's a little bit more dangerous, or that there's a lot of criminal behaviors and criminal activities and stuff like that. And of course, the Irish have historically been known to be quite unruly and very what's the word I'm looking for, rebellious. You think about the Irish fighting against the English, and the IRA and all that stuff, and the bombs and all that stuff. So yeah, hey, it's not to generalize, but it just really, really fits that Ireland is an ESTP nation. I am not surprised. um, that's just kind of the impression I got when I was walking around Dublin. Yeah, well, good times actually. I remember, was in Dublin. I went to the Guinness museum, guys. There is a Guinness museum in Dublin, and I did go there. And they sell all sorts of types of Guinness. Like, guys, there's like even like a stout that is mixed with milk. You can get a stout with milk or cream or something like that. Absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? And yeah, you just go there, and they show you like how they make their products and everything, and like there's tap dancing and people drinking and enjoying the show. Like, really, really, really good, actually. You know what I mean? I seriously recommend, guys, go to Dublin. Go to Dublin. If you can afford to go to Dublin, go there, man. Like, you're not gonna regret it. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up here, and I'll see you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.